Are these the future of kayak motors? We just got something that's going to change the way I kayak fish. I've been waiting on this for quite a while and it just arrived. We were going on a river float in the morning and I could not resist showing you how quickly I could get this installed on the new Old Town Sportsman Pro. So let's show you what we got. This right here is the new ePropulsion kLite motor. This was something that I did a video on coming out of iCast, and it arrived at the very last second today. I was looking through it and I think that it's easy enough that we can show you guys everything this new motor is about without really having to invest a ton of time. So we're gonna get this installed on the Old Town 120 Pro, and then we're gonna install the monitor, but first things first, we gotta get this on there. So putting this on actually should be rather simple. I am going to reuse the hardware that I had on the other one. This does come with its own screws, but I've got one sitting right here, so I'm not gonna worry about opening up the other ones. And you line it up based on how far back you want your motor to stick off the kayak. Right now I'm on the second one back, so it's sticking out about, I don't know, you could maybe get 2 fingers between the kayak and there. So that's a good trim level, I think. If you needed to, you could move it back. If you needed to move it forward based on whatever kayak you're using. All right, so we've got the heads-up display here. I'm actually thinking that I'm gonna mount mine right here where I used to have my 360 cameras. The way it mounts on there, it's just 2 essential T-bolts that you can slide in the track. And a lot of people, when I first did the preview video on this motor, were concerned about whether or not this heads-up display was going to be too annoying because it's like a separate thing from the rest of the throttle. So here's your throttle. There will be a cable that goes from the throttle, heads-up display to the throttle to the motor. So that's all the wiring you have. You don't have to drill. I mean, you could if you really wanted it to be like permanent and stuff like that, but for the most part, it's a point A to point B connection with this in the center, and the heads-up display is going to give you info on like it's where you could change it to fish mode. So a lot of people might actually want it like maybe like right here. So that could be something we change as we start to mess with this, but for now I'm just gonna put it right there. So now we are going to install the throttle, and this is actually quite simple. So the way this works is there's a mounting plate where you can essentially mount it flush to your T-track. So now we've got it mounted on there just like that, and the great thing about this is you can adjust the side to side, the up, the down. So now comes the fun part, the throttle cable. This one is gonna take us some thinking. So essentially this is gonna go from here to here, but we're not gonna want all this wire flopping around, so how do we make it work? Well, I'm gonna show you. So first we're gonna connect this like this, and then we're gonna take our cable and we're actually going to wrap it around the unit. Probably get it about that tight. So while this is temporary, you could actually kind of just shove it down in there and it kind of keeps it nice and flush. So since this is gonna be our maiden voyage, I'm gonna keep it like this just so that I don't have to do any like tie downs, but I think long term you definitely wanna come up with a solution for that. So we've gotta get this installed at the height we want, which will be an important part. So we'll probably do it probably around, I think we actually are going to have to drop this a little bit. So looking at this, that's way above the water line. So we'll probably wanna come down 2 screws on the bracket so that it sits a little bit deeper in the water here. So I'm gonna bring it up to probably 2 more stops so that it sits a little bit lower down in the water column. Honestly, so far this has been quite literally the easiest motor install I've ever done. And it's partly because we already had the steering installed, so if you're going from scratch, you would have to do that. But on the bright side, it is pretty much good to go at this point. So we're gonna get the lift arm installed, which shouldn't be too bad, and go from there. So you can see how easy this is gonna be. So just like the heads-up display, the cleat here has the same exact concept. 2 little bitty T-bolts that slide through there, and then you can adjust it where you want it. I think I might eventually put it right here, like where I had this old one. But for now, we can just go ahead and take this one out because we're not gonna need it. And this will be our new up-down lever. So we've got it lifted up here, but it actually has an adjustment. So if you want it to lift higher, you can actually just pop this out and put in the bar right there, and it'll actually lift it out higher. I think this should be fine for us, but this is a really easy fix when we get on the water if we need to. This is the motor fully up, so I moved that bar down and it stows a lot higher up off the water. This is so freaking light. So before they hit the water, let's talk about a few cool things about this motor. So the motor comes with a rock guard slash, I don't know what you want to call it, but it is a rubber guard that goes over the head of the motor. This is going to protect the motor from dings, bangs, boops. If you've ever seen my NK180, the end of it is all scuffed up. This kind of helps with the impact of hitting rocks. It's going to protect the foil from breaking. So that's a really cool feature. Also right here, you notice how light this is. That's a killer feature about it. But this right here is the quick release tab for the up down bar, the lever. So you pull this down just like that, and it'll actually raise and lower the bar. And you only really have to pull it down to get it to deploy. Then as we showed on the installation, you can see totally customizable depth. So at whatever depth you want to put this motor on, you can just easily move the screws up and down. You don't have to do anything on a shaft of a motor. I know it seems like it's not a lot, but moving a pylon style motor up and down is really annoying. Ask me how I know. It's also got this cool quick release button. That's how you push it on and off. So if you're taking the motor off at the end of the day, you push this and it pops off. This right here, I didn't know how I would feel about this because like, it's just so much different. This is so much more convenient for taking in and out. I really like that. And then another like feature that might not be that big of a deal, but could help you in a pinch, and you guys are gonna laugh about this one, but it actually has a USB-C charger. So not only could you presumably charge your phone, you could charge pretty much anything off this battery. So that's a quick little overview of this motor. You guys saw it installed. This is it in its final product. It's super light. We're gonna take it out to the water and do some tests, and then we're gonna get back in here and I'll give you guys a summary. I mean, look at how portable this thing is. The kLite 750 is light. It is like 15 pounds, and you do not need a secondary battery. This is everything. Oh my gosh! All right, I'm gonna make sure this motor works since I've literally never used it. This is called fish mode, or you can put it on a crawl. So I could run 20 hours like this. So I don't think you can actually even see that screen. But we've got it in fish mode right now, just kind of testing it out. I might trim it a little bit here. I doubt you can get up this, but you never know. Oh, dude, this is sick. That's the boost mode. Interesting. All right, so that was my first ever risky run up I definitely don't think I could have gotten up that in the 300 just because it's too shallow. You almost needed the power at a certain point. All right, I'm gonna put the motor down here and see if how shallow I can take this bad boy. So it is real shallow. I'm barely in the water. Oh yeah, if I go just an inch lower. This is the shallowest drafting motor I think I've ever used. This is insane. Oh yeah, this thing goes super shallow if you wanted to. Fire craw only works in the spring. Oh! Another one on this fire crawl. All I had to do is say fire crawl only works in the spring. Dude, he's dogging me here. What is he doing? All right, guys, fire crawl only works in the spring. There's another one on the fire crawl. So motor, fire crawl, I caught that while using fish mode, which is essentially the creep mode, where I can put it on like 1%, and I'm gonna put it on there now so we don't crash, but I can just put it on like 1%, and then it's like the perfect to just make these like short little pitches while we fish. So that's my favorite thing about this motor, is just you have way more control than a lot of motors out there. I spooked something out of there that I don't think is a bass. Oh my gosh! Oh, it's a big largemouth. Yeah, it looks like a largemouth. I'm just gonna let myself crash into this. Oh, that's a nice largie. Where did that come from? These fish are random today, bro. Nice. That was on the tiny joker of all things. Oh, it's just a long, skinny river largie. The old river largie. Another victim on fish mode. Yeah, I never would have been able to make that cast without fish mode, because I was going at just the right speed to cruise that bank line. A solid largemouth. He's probably over 18, I would imagine. I'll measure him, just because I don't want to be called a liar. Just at 18. So here's the thing that's cool about this. It actually has a legitimate reverse. So long as you're under like as long as you're under like 70 watts, it'll do reverse, which is pretty wild. That's actually pretty fast. I'm gonna open this up. So right now we're on normal mode. This is full throttle on normal. So about 500 watt draw, you can probably see. So if you double click this button here, we get an extra 250 watts to work with. This is like the boost mode, which we're cruising. It says that we only have 0.3 hours in this mode. So, I mean, think about it like this. We got 70% of the battery left, right? We've been going a lot today. It makes sense, so. So that was a pretty successful first trip in this. There's a couple observations that I really want to talk about, but I did really like where the throttle was at. And overall, I liked how light the motor was. And the fish mode, as you probably saw me catch multiple fish on fish mode, was pretty nice. So overall, super great package. We're gonna go back to the house, talk about some of the quirks I noticed about this. And I cannot understate how light this motor was. So we're really happy with the first test of it. It's definitely like a shallow running motor. Like if you fish a lot of shallow stuff, this motor is gonna be right at home. We ended the day at 78%. And I would say we ran it moderately hard. So good battery life too. So we just got back from our very first test of the kLite 750 by ePropulsion. I was pleasantly surprised by this motor. I knew that it was going to be a quality motor. Let's talk about some of the things I like about it and a couple of things that I still don't know about. First of all, the throttle. I wish that this was a little taller. I like the throttle. I like how low profile this is. I like that you could move this. This is chill. It's really easy, really intuitive. You know, you've got fish mode, which is the slow mode, normal mode, and then you've got the boost mode where you double click like that. This is your kill switch. We talked about that on the installation. I wish this was a little higher. I think what you could do, and I might do this, is find a way to like mount this on something that's up a little bit, maybe like over here so it's a little bit closer away from paddling. But on the flip side, one of the most annoying parts of the old throttle, when you would paddle, there was no good spot to have it where it wasn't like up here blocking your ability to paddle. So the low profile is actually a benefit and curse at the same time. So I'm gonna try like this for a little while just to see if I can get used to it being a little bit lower. I am tall, so it's not that big of a deal to reach down. But you know, it does make paddling easier. So it's like the pros and cons of all of this. So let's talk about the heads-up display. It comes with a little sun visor, which is gonna make it really easy to read. It was like 98 degrees and blazing sunny by the end of that day. And you could read it all day, no problem. I like it, I think it's great, but it's gonna take some getting used to, and I'm gonna figure out where I want it positioned. I think that's the hardest part. I had it right here. You don't really need to fiddle with the buttons or anything once you're on the water. You kind of set it before you go regardless. So I'm not too worried about where it sits. I'm actually thinking about putting it up here where the scuppers come out in the Old Town Pro. My issue was that where it was here, it sits up high enough that when I try to slide it into the truck bed, I gotta take it off. So instead of it being just on here like this the whole time, I have to take it on and off because it was clipping the top of my truck bed liner. So that's more of a me issue than a motor issue. Like I said, I did like the mount. The mounting system is really good on this, super simple. It just needs to be centered like that. You drop it in there, it locks in. We showed you guys all this. I actually ended up taking it to the lowest position while in the water, and it was able to get up some pretty gnarly rapids that were pretty low. And I think one of the more underappreciated things about the motor is that it comes with quality components when it comes to like not just the motor but like this, like the cleats. You pull up, you let go, it's up. You pull down, you let go, it's down. It's a very simple, very intuitive, very customizable cleat for your up down rope. Your pulley, you don't even need a pulley, it's so light. And I've just got that run just like I had my other ones. So as far as components go, you're getting a lot of value from the actual stuff outside of the motor, which I appreciate because I feel like a lot of motors came with junk afterthoughts. Some of them didn't even come with cleats. You had to install your own, which was less than great. So overall, for the first kind of look at the kLite 750, I'm pretty happy with it. I do want to talk a little bit about battery life here. So you can actually turn this on like this, and you can see we're at 61% on the battery. We ran upriver about maybe a mile and then floated another 6 miles downriver. I ran this pretty hard. I did some speed tests and we're still at 61%. This is definitely, if you're doing like a river float, this is going to be the perfect motor for you. If you fish small lakes where you don't do a lot of running and then it's just kind of maintaining it all day, this is a really good motor for you. If you're doing a single access where you're going up 7 miles in swift current, this is probably going to run out of batteries. Now, one thing I do want to point out, I don't have the recharge kit for this yet. They haven't released the recharge kit. So basically you can hook up any 12-volt battery to this and it will charge it while you use the battery. So while you have 750 watts in this battery, it can actually be much more if you throw like a 1250 in the front. Granted, when you do that, you're kind of reducing the efficiency of the fact that this is this really light, self-contained battery. If you got long distances to go and you really want to use this battery, you can hook any 12 volt up to it and it will charge it as it goes, which is awesome. So if you've got like one of those little 1224s, 1220s, 1230s, 1250, you know, on and on, depending on how much power you think you're going to need, you can keep this going for a lot longer outside of what I used it for. So pretty awesome about that. So who do I think this motor is for, having used it now? If you want a really easy throw and go style motor, this is the winner. If you want something that's light to go off grid and not have to have a bunch of batteries to worry about, this is a good motor for that. You know, if you're launching under bridges with a little tiny paddle kayak and you want a little something extra, this is great for that. If you're carting into like strip pits with small kayaks, it's great for that. Inflatables, you know, you're sensing a trend here. I think this is going to be a killer battery for that. That being said, I think if you're doing a lot of high performance upriver type stuff, this is a motor that probably isn't going to be up your alley because it's not meant for that. This is meant to be more of these shallow rivers versus swift rivers. I think this will be great in lakes. It's probably really good where there's like a lot of foliage, like a lot of weeds and stuff that are getting in the way. Because it's so light, you can trim it real light and go right over the top of that stuff. Overall, I think this motor is a great choice for anybody who wants a smaller kayak motor similar to like Newport's NK180 or Torqeedo's 403 Ultralight. Or if you're trying to step up from something like a Bixby, this is a definite upgrade. And overall, I think it's just a very well-designed motor that is kayak first. And what I mean by that is a lot of the small little details on it are very well thought out that makes rigging on any kayak Super simple. So this is the first look at the kLite 750. Let me know what you guys think. I'll see you guys next time on the water. This thing is actually like stupid light. Like this is a one-hand assembly. This would be great for John boats too.